When we read poetry, two things are happening at once. You are understanding the words that the author put on the page in front of you. You're encountering the poem as an object. You follow along with the meter, the rhythm, the timing, each of the word choices where it's physically placed on the page. And you also hopefully feel most of what the author wanted you to feel. Certain experiences are evoked in you as a reader. The reason that translating poetry is so difficult, especially across disparate languages. What's more accurate in a translation? Knowing exactly what each word meant that the poet chose and putting them in as close as you can to exactly the right order, or having the same feelings evoked in the reader. I want to talk about this through the lens of a poem by Rilke in 50 Poems, the New York Review of Books collection called Herbsttag or Autumn Day. Now, William Gass was a professor, a literary critic, and a brilliant writer. To do another video on him. He actually had a book called Reading Rilke where he decided to go through the original German and do exactly the project that I'm talking about in this video, get to the heart of the meaning of each of the poems by translating them himself. So here's his translation of Autumn Day. I'm going to just keep it here on the screen. Here's some decisions that he made that I think are key. It says, Lord, it is time. The summer was too long. Remember that. Lay your shadow on the sundials now, and through the meadow let the winds throng. There's the first rhyme. Fruits are ripening on a vine, bringing about perfection, sweetness and wine. That's important imagery. And then let's focus on this last stanza here. Whoever has no house now will establish none. Whoever lives alone now will live on long alone. Will wake and read and write long letters, wander up and down the barren paths the parks expose when the leaves are blown. Beautiful. Of course, this is about the changing of the seasons, passage of time, the fact that there is a prime mover out there doing that changing for us. We're not the agents in bringing about that change. Ripeness, things coming of age, changing form themselves into wine. And then this beautiful last stanza about solitude, loneliness, isolation, and alienation in the face of these grand natural processes of which we are only a participant and not a decision maker. I'm gonna look at some of the German, and I'm gonna preface this by saying I do not speak German. I have access to the internet, and I can look up individual words. And the reason I'm saying this and doing this video at all is to emphasize to you that you do not have to have a master's degree in a certain language to pursue this kind of curiosity and run this experiment on your own. So in the third stanza, this whoever that Gass chooses is pretty faithful to the meaning of the original German. Its repetition is also found in the original Rilke poem here. So what's interesting though, here's Jeffrey Lehman's translation. He's the guy who translated these poems for the New York Review of Books. He actually changes it to the second person. If you are homeless, you will find no home. And he uses a contemporary word there in homeless. Solitary, you will remain alone. There's no repetition. There's a meter that's interesting, that's different. There's a rhyme. What's also interesting is he is both more faithful, if you put that in quotes, and less faithful to Rilke in the opposite way that Gass was from the first line. So Gass says, the summer was too long, okay? Here's the original German, and then here's Lehman. Lehman takes gross closer to the real meaning, something grand, opulent. He uses rich, something great. There's a substance to it. Gass takes it in a temporal direction. The summer was too long, okay? But where he's right, if you're going by the spectrum of right and wrong, is der Sommer war sehr groß. It's a declarative statement. But why is Lehman saying, let this rich summer go? Also speaking to the Lord, instead of just making a statement on his own. There are plenty of interesting decisions you could find and compare in this poem, but I want to just try and push you down the rabbit hole, as it were. I'm going to leave you with this from sort of an outro to the book, written by the translator Jeff Lehman, explaining his modus operandi here. My aim with these rhymed translations, that's key, he's preserving the rhyme, is necessarily immodest. He's saying to impersonate Rilke in English. I've adjusted his expression and details where necessary to fit the meter, the available English rhymes, and idiomatic flow of the English language. And then this is key, this is what he says. These betrayals of Rilke, I hope, are minor. Acknowledging that you've betrayed the poet, I don't know that he's being terribly sarcastic there. I think he understands, when you're adding details to a poem, a book or a poem, it's nothing more than the words on a page in front of you. Your interpretation is what matters. And to convey his underlying ideas. How about that? Let's introduce one more concept before we conclude this interminable video. Concepts. How important is a concept to a poem? I'm talking a lot about feeling and word choice, pacing, sound, physicality. But what about the idea behind it? I think you should look at poems in translation. I think you should look at them in the original language and give it a shot at trying to understand why one word was chosen over another. There are 12 that I noted in here, and you can probably find even more differences that are really interesting and help deepen your understanding of a work. So get after it. Let me cut this off. Thanks as always for watching. German speakers, don't kill me.